Ghislaine Maxwell ran Jeffrey Epstein's child sex trafficking operation. She is a convicted sex offender, and right now she is in a minimum security prison in Texas. Nicknamed Club Fed, getting puppy time, private workouts, personal mail, secretarial services. She was transferred there 2 days after Trump's deputy met with her alone. She is now refusing to cooperate with Congress unless Donald Trump gives her clemency. And Pam Bondi says she did not know any of this was happening. The Attorney General of the United States did not know.
Attorney General Bondi, I think you and pretty much everybody else here and throughout the country believes that convicted sex offenders don't deserve special treatment or privileges in prison. And yet Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, received perk after perk in prison. In July, she had a 2-day interview with your deputy and President Trump's former defense attorney, Todd Blanche. Just days after that, Maxwell was transferred from a federal correctional institution in Florida to a minimum security camp in Texas, which she, as a sex offender, would normally be ineligible for. At this new facility, as the ranking member talked about, and by the way, it's nicknamed Club Fed, we've heard reports that she's been afforded special privileges: puppy time, private workouts, personal mail, secretarial services. Attorney General Bondi, does a convicted sex offender like Ghislaine Maxwell deserve special treatment and privileges in prison? Yes or no?
Let me be crystal clear on this. No. And
Thank you.
Let me keep going. No, let me keep going.
Perfect. Well, I
did not know she was being transferred.
I asked you yes or no.
She was not transferred to a lower
Mr. Chairman,
level.
please stop the clock and remind the witness of the rules. One rule she needs to understand
and I'm glad that we're agreeing. So when we're agreeing, we can move on to some other things. But I want you to know that every time she does get these perks, and it's been publicly reported, that the folks she's abused, the survivors who are sitting here, they see themselves as being denied justice. They feel re-traumatized. And I'm glad that we agree on that. But she should not be in that prison. And she needs to be moved back to a maximum security prison as soon as possible. But what she has told another committee here is that she won't cooperate with them unless she gets clemency from Donald Trump. It's just crazy to consider that she can be wielding this kind of influence within the administration. But that begs the question: who ordered her to be transferred to the minimum security prison that she was ineligible for? Who signed off on the special privileges? Was it Mr. Blanche? Was it one of your other subordinates? So please, can you tell us who sent her there, since you don't agree she should be there?
Let me make sure you heard that correctly. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of the United States, said she does not agree that Ghislaine Maxwell should receive special treatment in prison, and then said she did not know Maxwell had been transferred to a minimum security facility she was ineligible for as a convicted sex offender. She learned about it after the fact. The Attorney General learned after the fact that the most high-profile convicted sex offender in federal custody, the woman who ran Jeffrey Epstein's trafficking network, had been quietly moved to a cushy minimum security camp in Texas. After the fact. Now let's talk about what happened right before that transfer. 2 days before Maxwell was moved, Trump's Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche met with Maxwell alone. 2 days, alone meeting, transfer. Blanche is not just any DOJ official. He was Trump's personal defense attorney, the man who defended Trump in his criminal cases. Now, he is the number 2 person at the Department of Justice, and he went alone to meet with the woman who trafficked children for Jeffrey Epstein. We do not know what was said. We do not know what was offered. We do not know what was agreed. 2 days later, Maxwell was in Club Fed, and Bondi learned about it after the fact. Now here is what Maxwell is doing with her new comfortable situation. She took the Fifth, refused to answer every single question when she appeared before a congressional committee. And her lawyer dangled an offer. Maxwell will cooperate. She will talk. She will answer questions about Epstein's network, about the clients, about what really happened, if Donald Trump gives her clemency. Read that again. The woman who ran the operation, who knows every name, every client, every location, every detail of what Epstein's trafficking network actually did, is sitting in Club Fed, getting puppy time, refusing to cooperate, and demanding a presidential pardon before she says a word. And the question Congress is asking and cannot get answered is simple. Who ordered that transfer? Who signed off on the puppy time and the private workouts and the secretarial services? Was it Todd Blanche, who met with her 2 days before? Was it someone else in the DOJ? Bondi says it is a question for the Bureau of Prisons. She was not involved. She learned about it after the fact. The Attorney General of the United States learned after the fact that the most important witness in one of the biggest sex trafficking cases in American history was being moved to a facility she was ineligible for. That is either a lie or a catastrophic failure of oversight. Either way, it is disqualifying.
I said I do not agree she should receive special treatment. She was transferred, I learned after the fact, to the same level facility, and that is a question for the Bureau of Prisons. I was not involved in that at all. The same level facility, I don't know why, but instead of talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, who hopefully will die in prison, you should be talking about Irina Zarutska.
I have a couple
who
of
died
other
on a subway.
Right, and I absolutely...
You don't talk about that.
I have been talking about it and actually helping with these issues. But we're going to move back to you.
I bet we are.
Yes, of course, because you're here to testify. That's what the whole point of this endeavor is. So, of course, we're moving back to you. It is all about you. So, as we've heard, she took the Fifth in response to every single question in that committee hearing, and her lawyer dangled the offer of clemency. Should Donald Trump pardon or commute her sentence? Should she be released from prison, yes or no? You said you hope she dies there, so I'm hoping the answer is no.
I already answered that question.
Good. I'm very glad. I really like this bipartisan agreement about what should happen.
With you, but you don't want to talk about Irina Zarutska. You don't want to talk about
I talk about
murdered
her all
by
the
a
time,
violent crime
but
offender
I am not
in
here
your
to
jurisdiction.
testify before Congress. You are. That is your job today.
You are
That's what you're getting paid for.
obsessed with attack.
I want you to know that your own DOJ employee, he's recently been demoted and had some other problems, advises on pardons. Do you think he will be advising Mr. Trump on any kind of clemency or pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell?
I'm not going to speculate, and you couldn't even identify properly. That's why you don't want to talk about Irina Zarutska. You couldn't properly identify her relative.
I absolutely
it's embarrassing.
Have been, and her family, by the way, appreciates all of the condolences, all of the help, everything that our law enforcement in North Carolina has been doing to help her family. Her family feels well treated. Thank you, and I yield back.
Did you notice what just happened? Bondi said, hopefully Maxwell will die in prison. Strong words. Clear position. No pardon. No clemency. She should rot there. Then the Congresswoman asked directly, should Donald Trump pardon or commute her sentence? And Bondi said, I already answered that question. She did not say no. She said she already answered, and redirected to Irina Zarutka. Now, I want to be precise here. Zarutka is a real case, a real violent crime. Nobody is saying it does not matter. But Bondi is the Attorney General. She is sitting before Congress to answer questions about the Epstein files, about Maxwell's transfer, about who signed off on Club Fed perks for a convicted child sex trafficker. She is not there to talk about other cases. She is there to answer these specific questions, and every time a question gets too close to something uncomfortable, she pivots to Zarutka. It is a technique, a deflection technique, and it works every time on people who are not paying attention. The Congresswoman called it out directly. You are here to testify. That is your job today. Now, let me give you the complete picture of what this situation actually is. Maxwell knows everything. She was not just Epstein's girlfriend. She was his operator. She recruited girls. She groomed them. She managed the network. She knew every client, every location, every arrangement. She is the single most valuable witness in the entire Epstein case. And she is currently, right now, sitting in a minimum security prison in Texas, getting puppy time, having been moved there 2 days after Trump's personal former defense attorney met with her alone, refusing to cooperate unless Trump pardons her. Half the Epstein files still missing. The client list Bondi said was on her desk, never produced. 38,000 references to Trump in the Epstein documents, survivors' names and photographs published by the DOJ, powerful men's names redacted. Not one survivor has met with the Department of Justice. And Bondi, when asked to turn around and apologize to survivors sitting in the room, talked about Merrick Garland. Connect the dots. Trump promises to release the Epstein files, gets elected, controls the DOJ, appoints the AG. His personal former defense attorney meets alone with the most important Epstein witness. 2 days later, she gets moved to Club Fed. She refuses to talk without a pardon. Half the files are still missing. Survivors get exposed. Powerful men get protected. And the Attorney General learned about all of it after the fact. That is not incompetence. That is a cover-up with a paper trail. Share this video, because the survivors who stood in that room deserve to have this story told completely. Subscribe, new video every week. Drop a comment, do you think Trump will pardon Maxwell? Because everything happening right now is pointing in one direction.